Hi, this is Jim, the life coach. We are live. Hope everybody's watching out there. I don't know who's watching, who's not. But we have the poetry section to do. We also dropped a earlier episode that we did about 2-3 weeks ago with one of my guests, Daima, who came on and she smashed it. So I know Kadeem, you haven't watched it yet. So if you do get a chance, Kadeem, watch it when you finish. Obviously, when you finish doing this, watch it. Today we've got two parts. We've got Kadeem and we've got a guest on the show, Natural Wright, who's a wicked queen. She's just busting up the whole place, doing the whole thing. Me and her's been working for the longest time. So actual poetry name is Natural Wright. Let me not even call it by a government name on here. You know what I'm saying?
It's too late. It's too late.
It's too late. No, I'm already out of it, really. But just wanted to big her up and whatever. So first off, Kadeem, you want to say hello to the peeps?
Yo, peeps, good to see you. I hope everyone's locked in. As always, make a comment, share, like, comment, whatever you want to do to share your thoughts. I'm going to be getting down deep and dirty today, Black History Month. So we're going to chop it up in maybe a little bit of a different sort of way and get controversial as always.
Yeah, man. Pick up the thing, man. So, Miss Natural Wright, introduce yourself to the masses, please.
So I'm Natural Wright. I am a poet, model, presenter, DJ, teacher. I do a lot of different things. And yeah, today I'm really excited to be invited onto Poetry Corner. It's been a while since I've showed my poetic flair. So I think I really appreciate you getting me on to kind of share with you today.
Yeah, man, this is the thing, innit? It's the thing. Trying to share all the greatness up in the thing, you know what I mean? Share everything. Today, we're going to do some Black History Month focused poems and some general poems as well. We're going to mix it up. So I know, Nats, you've got an array of different type of poems, yeah? And you selected a few out. And I know that Kadeem's got like a treasure trove of poems. So, and it's a little assignment I gave him yesterday. So it's all good. So before we thingy, I'm going to actually play that video you sent me, Kadeem.
Yeah. Let me. I'll jump in for a little second there. Yeah. G challenged me to engage in creative piece. He knows. Excuse me. Now we're ready. Yeah. So G challenged me to a creative piece. He's done it before. He knows that I'm quite into challenges. I got a 24-hour challenge rule engage Nat. I'll be very interested to take a word from you later on today and get a challenge out there for you for the next pod. And G challenged me to do something related to Black history, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. And most importantly, to whether or not how things have changed or what kind of progression there has been. So I was like, yeah, I'm up for it. I like a little bit of research in my writing and the creativity. And I was drawn to something that I thought was actually quite ironic, that based on the subject that you asked in terms of progression and the fact that the theme I could relate to having had a recent kind of engagement with it. And it comes to a debate that took place in the 60s, early 60s, when Malcolm X came to the UK. And the subject was raised in terms of the profile that might be assigned to somebody of color when they are aggravated. So run the piece and we'll discuss the piece, and then I can hit you with what I've written, and we can talk about everything, our experiences, and see how relatable that might be to the community, BME community today. So yeah.
All right. Okay. So let me share my screen, people. I'm on the wrong button, You think I do that? I haven't done this before, innit?
First time,
Right. Okay. This is the opening sermon, right, for today's thing. So let's play it.
You make my point. That as long as a white man does it, it's all right. A black man is supposed to have no feelings. But when a black man strikes back, he's an extremist. He's supposed to sit passively and have no feelings, be nonviolent, and love his enemy. No matter what kind of attack, be it verbal or otherwise, he's supposed to take it. But if he stands up and in any way tries to defend himself, then he's an extremist. No, I think that the speaker who preceded me is getting exactly what he asked for. My reason for believing in extremism, intelligently directed extremism, extremism in defense of liberty, extremism in quest of justice, is because I firmly believe in my heart that the day that the black man takes an uncompromising step and realizes that he's within his rights, when his own freedom is being jeopardized, to use any means necessary to bring about his freedom or put a halt to that injustice, I don't think he'll be by himself. I live in America where there are only 22 million blacks against probably 160 million whites. One of the reasons that I'm in no way reluctant or hesitant to do whatever is necessary to see that black people do something to protect themselves, I honestly believe that the day that they do, many whites will have more respect for them, and that there will be more whites on their side than are now on their side with these little wishy-washy love thy enemy approach that they've been using up to now. And if I'm wrong, then you are racialists. As I said earlier, in my conclusion, I'm a Muslim. I believe in the religion of Islam. I believe in Allah. I believe in Muhammad. I believe in all of the prophets. I believe in fasting, prayer, charity, and that which is incumbent upon a Muslim to fulfill in order to be a Muslim. In April, I was fortunate to make the Hajj to Mecca and went back again in September to try and carry out my religious functions and requirements. But at the same time that I believe in that religion, I have to point out I'm also an American Negro. And I live in a society whose social system is based upon the castration of the black man, whose political system is based on castration of the black man, and whose economy is based upon the castration of the black man. A society which in 1964 has more subtle, deceptive, deceitful methods to make the rest of the world think that it's cleaning up its house, while at the same time the same things are happening to us in 1964 that happened in 1954, 1924, and in 1984. They came up with what they call a civil rights bill in 1964, supposedly to solve our problem, and after the bill was signed, 3 civil rights workers were murdered in cold blood. And the FBI head, Hoover, admits that they know who did it. They've known ever since it happened, and they've done nothing about it. Civil rights bill down the drain. No matter how many bills pass, black people in that country, where I'm from, still our lives are not worth 2 cents. And the government has shown its inability, or either its unwillingness, to do whatever is necessary to protect life and property where the black American is concerned. So my contention is that whenever a people come to the conclusion that the government which they have supported proves itself unwilling or proves itself unable to protect our lives and protect our property because we have the wrong color skin, we are not human beings unless we ourselves band together and do whatever, however, whenever is necessary to see that our lives and our property is protected. And I doubt that any person in here would refuse to do the same thing were he in the same position, or I should say were he in the same condition. One step farther to see am I justified in this stand. And I say, I'm speaking as a black man from America, which is a racist society. No matter how much you hear it talk about democracy, it's as racist as South Africa, or as racist as Portugal, or as racist as any other racialist society on this earth. The only difference between it and South Africa preaches separation and practices separation. America preaches integration and practices segregation. This is the only difference. They don't practice what they preach. Whereas South Africa preaches and practices the same thing. I have more respect for a man who lets me know where he stands, even if he's wrong, than the one who comes up like an angel and is nothing but a devil. The system of government that America has consists of committees. There are 16 senatorial committees that govern the country and 20 congressional committees. 10 of the 16 senatorial committees are in the hands of Southern racialist senators who are racialists. 13 of the 20, this was before the last election. I think it's even more so now. 10 of the 16 committees, senatorial committees, are in the hands of senators who are Southern racialists. 13 of the 20 congressional committees were in the hands of Southern congressmen who are racialists, which means out of the 36 committees that govern the foreign and domestic direction of that government, 23 are in the hands of Southern racialists, men who in no way believe in the equality of man, and men who do anything within their power to see that the black man never gets to the same seat or to the same level that they are on. The reason that these men from that area have that type of power is because America has a seniority system. And these who have that seniority have been there longer than anyone else because the black people in the areas where they live can't vote. And it is only because the black man is deprived of his vote that puts these men in positions of power that gives them such influence in the government beyond their actual intellectual or political ability, or even beyond the number of people from the areas that they represent. So we can see in that country that no matter what the federal government professes to be doing, the power of the federal government lies in these committees, and any time a black man or any kind of legislation is proposed to benefit the black man or give the black man his just due, we find that it's locked up in these committees right here. And when they let something through the committee, usually it is so chopped up and fixed up that by the time it becomes law, it's a law that can't be enforced. Well, another example is the Supreme Court desegregation decision that was handed down in 1954. This is a law. And this law, they have not been able to implement this law in New York City or in Boston or in Cleveland or Chicago or the northern cities. And my contention is that any time you have a country, supposedly a democracy, supposedly the land of the free and the home of the brave, and it can't enforce laws, even in the northernmost cosmopolitan and progressive part of it, that will benefit a black man, if those laws can't be enforced or that law can't be enforced, how much heart do you think we will get when they pass some civil rights legislation which only involves more laws? If they can't enforce this law, they'll never enforce those laws. So my contention is that we are faced with a racialistic society, a society in which they are deceitful, deceptive, and the only way we can bring about a change is to talk the kind of language, speak the language that they understand. The racialist never understands a peaceful language. The racialist never understands the nonviolent language. The racialist, he's spoken his language to us for 400 years. We have been the victim of his brutality. We are the ones who face his dogs that tear the flesh from our limbs, only because we want to enforce the Supreme Court decision. We are the ones who have our skulls crushed, not by the Ku Klux Klan, but by policemen, only because we want to enforce what they call the Supreme Court decision. We are the ones upon whom water hoses are turned with pressure so hard that it rips the clothes from our back. Not men, but the clothes from the backs of women and children. You've seen it yourself. Only because we want to enforce what they call the law. Well, anytime you live in a society supposedly based upon law, and it doesn't enforce its own law because the color of a man's skin happens to be wrong, then I say those people are justified to resort to any means necessary to bring about justice where the government can't give them justice. I don't believe in any form of unjustified extremism. But I believe that when a man is exercising extremism, a human being is exercising extremism in defense of liberty for human beings, it's no vice. And when one is moderate in the pursuit of justice for human beings, I say he's a sinner. And I might add in my conclusion, in fact, America is one of the best examples when you read its history about extremism. Old Patrick Henry said liberty or death. That's extreme. Very extreme. I read once, passingly, about a man named Shakespeare. I only read about him passingly, but I remember one thing he wrote that kind of moved me. He put it in the mouth of Hamlet, I think it was, who said, to be or not to be. He was in doubt about something. Whether it was nobler in the mind of man to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, moderation, or to take up arms against the sea of troubles and by opposing, end them. And I go for that. If you take up arms, you'll end it. But if you sit around and wait for the one who's in power to make up his mind that he should end it, you'll be waiting a long time. And in my opinion, the young generation of whites, blacks, browns, whatever else there is, you're living at a time of extremism, a time of revolution, a time when there's got to be a change. People in power have misused it, and now there has to be a change, and a better world has to be built, and the only way it's going to be built is with extreme methods. And I, for one, will join in with anyone. Don't care what color you are, as long as you want to change this miserable condition that exists on this earth. Thank you.
You mute.
You're muted.
I was saying, yeah, boy.
Mhm.
Can't go wrong with a bit of Malcolm. Can't go wrong with a bit of
Mhm.
Malcolm. To bless the poetry section today. I used to have a little
Yeah, man.
fetish for Malcolm in the 90s, early 90s. And we know was he was all bright. Nat, you know about all that stuff, innit? The X and the hats and the thing and whatever back in the days. Show my age. Yeah. Some real great stuff. So yes, this was inspiration for
Yeah, this is the inspiration for my piece today.
yeah.
A little bit of I thought it was just quite interesting, this idea of how he opened and just how the whole just everything that was covered in there is still incredibly relevant. The idea of how easy you're able to get this label of being extreme, really. So yeah, cool. In traditional fashion, I'm gonna run a piece. I'll get some opinions from you in terms of what you think what you take away. What you take away. Yeah. So like I say, this one is surprisingly or not, it's entitled Extremely. Yeah. So have things changed completely or just discreetly? The style of your tactics, the deployment of your tactics, to sabotage the masses, it's all been specific. This can be seen by the extreme disproportionate statistics that have been elicited and inflicted somewhat complex injustices and indifference, causing a tide that's been backwashed towards and within your own space, despite the tide once brought you here to aid their escape. You're still cast with judgment, despite not fishing for sounds, asking for comments, or caring about the choice of their frowns. As speak too loud or stand too proud, retort too quick or clench a fist, breathe in deep or not get sleep, then these are the labels. And what does it mean? You're just another extremist, and extreme in what you can be. Labeled by those previously labeled racist and now defining policies, segregation, separation, and the complete and total annihilation of your type, your likes, and your true philosophies. There have been mispicks for the top spots from the fairground, the grabbing machines, that automatic, systematic, problematic problems have been created to keep the same churn on this round world that to us tumbled and turned around the land that we see. So I may be extreme in the exercise of my rights, in the continued and continuous protection of life. I'm the hypervigilant, extra sensitive to the remaining divide that still remains within the communities of all of our time.
Succinct. I see the link to the thing that we just
To the
watched.
thing.
So
Yeah.
when I set you the task, I said
Mhm.
let's do stuff about what do you think has changed from now until then.
Mhm.
But it's like you said, it's clear when we're watching that, it's like nothing's really changed. Things are just
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
it's just called different words. Do you know what I mean? In some cases, same
So
words.
exactly. So in the poem, I referenced the types and styles of behavior, and the things that I say, and specifically that I thought were quite of interest and relation and of importance, are the things and the and so's. So again, like because to this day, the key points that if you are speaking too loud or standing up too tall, seeming too confident, or being too quick in reply, or then showing upset or frustration, even to dare to clench a fist or to slam your hands on a table or to stand up too quickly from a chair, yeah, to take a deep in breath, or all of these things have a massive impact on like the way that again, like it's just not, if you are like, gee, if you were to do these things, you would be perceived in a certain type of way. Now, if you were to do these things, you would perceived in a certain type of way. Why would you be perceived in a certain type of way? And why would that way be need to be any different to any other type and populace of people? It's really interesting because when we have a discussion, if it's not interesting or if there's not relevance there, why, when we have the discussion with different subgroups, they may have different experiences. And especially when we go and break down into different environments, yeah. So, and if we talk about geographic locations and placements, then there's all these varying factors that will create dynamics where this opinion is not the same. It's not shared. it's a mix of opinion, and there is segregation in the opinion, and that's what I'm bringing a light to. And the challenging point here is that this is what happened again, like I say, 1964. And in 1964, he was referencing problems and highlighting things that happened in 54,
44,
44,
24.
Yeah. So what's going on here? What's actually going on here? And so I think this is the whole purpose of the month. This is the whole purpose of Black History Month, to bring up this discussion, to relive the discussion, and to kind of bring light to the fact that there still hasn't really been much progression here. We're still generations down the line, and that's what I'm here to discuss with us today. How much we feel has really changed. Like, am I wrong? That's the whole point. But like again, I'm almost on the fence of battling you there, G, in what you have asked as the challenge. But I'm using the evidence of what is there. So you tell me, am I wrong?
Battling me, fam, not battling me, fam. I was just saying, innit? I think, yeah, I think that some people would say that what you're saying is correct, and some people would say no, things have moved on. We've gone very far. You know, we don't have to sit at the back of the bus anymore. You know, we're allowed to go anywhere we want. We have to do all the things that we want to do. Some people even say because we're so black, other people can't shine either. You know what I'm saying? They feel like they're being oppressed because we have our rights. You know what I'm saying? Because we have protected characteristics or protected things that, you know, we can say actually we're being injustices brought upon us. And some people don't like that or whatever. When you was talking just now, I was just thinking about the different words we may use. And when you talk about like injustice, or we talk about people having a different environment to yourself when you're talking about certain things, the word Karen just sprung into my head. Just bing, like that's we all us in the black community, we universally know what Karen means. Yeah, Nats, would you like to explain what Karen.
Hey, but draw me out some stereotypes of Karen that are like.
What is a Karen?
A Karen is a meddling woman who basically abuses her white privilege in a situation over somebody that's, I don't know, less powerful than her.
And what is white privilege?
White privilege? This is
When you're on the
what
spot,
coming
man.
in to do poetry.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
define what white privilege is. Okay, so we have to go back really, because you're talking about racism and prejudice, talking about colonialism, we're talking about our black people's position in the world, in the West, is what we're thinking about. So white privilege will be white people not really understanding the position that they're in. They have affluence, they have money, they might not have to suffer a lot of the prejudice, the hardship prejudice that we as black people naturally accept or maybe not accept. We have to live with it every day. So sometimes it's ignorance, and then nowadays you're saying, has anything changed? It's like people talk about now it's unconscious bias. So it's like a way of softening the racism. Oh, I didn't know that you were being biased. You know what I'm saying? It's like before it's racist, now it's like, it's unconsciously biased. So things, I do feel like things have changed, but whether we've made progress, I don't know. I feel like we've got a lot more power to do, like you said, to move where we want to go, and we've got laws and rights to back us up. But you can't really legislate people's minds, and that's the reality. People think what they want to think. It's funny when you were doing your poem, and talking as well, because I wrote a poem at the riots, the George Floyd riots in lockdown, and some of those topics or answers come into that. Maybe I should. Maybe I wasn't going to do that one today, but maybe I should do that.
Maybe you should do that. Maybe you should do that. That's right. Free flowing. Let's go.
Okay. Black exclusion, black persecution, black blood splatters, black execution. Last breath shared in another scene. Worldwide, protesters in the streets, chanting and shouting, saying Black Lives Matter. I can't breathe. Some would say that all lives matter. But for centuries, it's black lives that have been in tatters. I know my life matters, and I shouldn't have to say, but I'm saying it because I'm still fighting the same fight that my ancestors fought yesterday. I'm unapologetic. There's no need to co-sign. Black people, black power. We will rise, we will rise. Black liberation movement. Liberate us because we're confined by the hate and racism that you hold within your mind. Black liberation movement. Black lives need to be freed. For centuries, the burden has been on black backs. Well, sometimes black does crack. Black feels hate. Black can break. The fire is stoked, but we won't be provoked. We're not seeking revenge, just to amend, reset and start again. So the next generation's fight won't have to be the same. We Will Rise. That was actually made into a track. You can actually listen to that on Spotify. And then
get your ads in there. Get your ads in there. That's what we like.
Go get them in. But I think I took the videos from the rights. Basically, the reason why I wrote that, my daughter wanted to go to the protest, and I'm like,
nah,
yeah, no, without me, you know. They're like, I'll go with you. It's not something I would have done, but I went with her, and I just kind of took in the energy that was there and started writing that poem as I was going around. And then I filmed a lot because I film a lot. That's what I do. And then, but when I made the track, he took a lot of the vocals from my videos and put it into the track. So yeah, I think at the time, that was another time where racism came into play. And it's funny when you put on the Malcolm X thing. I think something my mum would always say with Black History and Black History Month. I didn't used to really want to engage with it because the idea of his story Black history is not for a month. Our history is history. It's entwined with it all. Like there's a poem that I got called History Lesson. I'm going to do a bit later. So it's like we always pulled back to that black chattel slavery to America. Growing up, I kind of felt like, you know, like you grow up thinking, oh, my ancestors were slaves and this is how black people came. But our history is so much bigger than America and what happened with the slaves. We go back centuries and centuries, and our history is vast, but we're never fed that. We're always taken back to that kind of point, like of slavery, George Floyd, and the fight, the civil rights movement, where black history is so much bigger than that. That's American black history. Like we've got histories vast and broad.
Yeah, 100. I'm gonna jump on the back of that one, Nat, because yeah, I 100% agree. I for a long time, and even today, I still battle with the idea of Black History Month and like that, because like you say, like, if you pick up on how I referenced it earlier, it's the remembrance of a specific person or a specific instance. I think that's important to capture. The fact that the a specific and the same message was spread again and again and again. But again, like you say, that should be all the time. That can be all the time. There's and again, what you've pointed out quite rightly is, I think, and the gap there is that it's all the structure, the way that things are structured, from down to the curriculum system, the way that the approach to, like I say, his story, I choose, as I'm like getting older, I think to myself, okay, it's my opportunity to start going into my own choices and what I choose to explore in relations to his story, and who's his or her stories I choose to engage with to understand my history or the truth of the past. But that in itself is not how everybody approaches history, and even that's only through being through like-minded people, or people more experienced than myself in that subject, who have been awoken to the fact that actually they have been fed or misguided a history that has then left them with no appetite for the whole entire subject, so that then allows you to believe what subconsciously what you've been preached as the truth. So it's really important. I think that you've poignantly expressed that. That was a brilliant piece to kind of, like you say, to kind of capture, because I think the idea of writing a piece during actually walking around and doing it. Yeah, I love that idea. That's some point. And I say, and bringing that back now during Black History Month, because that's what it's about. It's about, again, reliving and reawakening certain things through performance, and just do the conversation, because the conversation is a performance in itself. So it allows us to create some imagination, and that imagination can spark a lot we take for granted. Again, like you say, there's a lot to do with, so again, we're not even getting into anything spiritual. We're not even looking at spirituality, which is so much of the history of the peoples in themselves as well, but we're not getting into that because, again, we're so misguided or distracted by things.
I've been really dipping into, like, because my event is called Energy Stream, but the event when I have the party is called Chi. And Chi is like Igbo tradition and spirituality that now, growing up and living in the West, that a lot of us are very disconnected from. But when I've actually sat and listened to the stories and beautiful, like, messages and laws and rights that are shared through this history, that we don't, as like Western British, I am, there's debate about even saying that we're British, but I'm British. I was born here. My culture's here. My dad's from Jamaica. My mum's from Barbados. I know my ancestry is from Africa, but I was still born here. And my life is very much steeped in the West. So I think a lot of the time we're disconnected from that spirituality, from the culture, from just our history, our ancestors. It's made to sound like it's something so far and distant.
Far distant. Can't find out about him.
Our ancestors, like, I literally buried my last grandfather. Another poem that I'm going to do today talks about him, because he came over in the Windrush. But I've buried all of my grandparents now, and so they're my closest ancestors. But if you check back and look at our history and what Black people have done in this world, like, it will uplift you. Like, there's a poem, that the history lesson, where I talk a bit about the Moors, like what the Moors did in terms of what they they conquered the world. We're not told. We're not told this. I didn't know when I think I was booked to do a fashion show for like a school in Croydon, like a black school, like a Saturday school. But they said they want me to write a piece, so I went away and I wrote this long, massive piece. I've actually split it into 3 poems now. But I was like, what do I talk about for like Black history for school? So I went and did the research, and I come across the Moors, and I was like, hold on a minute, what? What? How did I not know? Like, for example, the Renaissance. Renaissance, anyone? We all know about the Renaissance.
Yeah, everybody knows about that.
The Enlightenment and all of this stuff. But that was them going to get their education from the black people. You never told me that bit. You didn't give me that knowledge to empower myself to think that, yeah, actually. But what I'm thinking is, no, I was a slave. And no, black people actually conquered the world. And that's partly why we suffer so much racism now. Like Spain, the whole bullfighting thing is representative of them running the Moors out of Spain. And that's still a tradition that they do today. These are the bits of history or history
when the bull kill them off.
We should know about.
No, about the same way that a lot of people seem to forget about Jesus or Jesus just traveling to Egypt, spending some time there. Again, what again? Don't do do a little bit of research. Again, I'm not gonna spoil the story for you guys, but let's explore. There's in the late teens, the early 20s of Jesus. What was he doing? Where was he going? What was he learning? Go back and have a little look. Those are some key questions. Let's go from the age of 18 to 22, 18 to 24. Where was he? What was he doing? What was he learning? And from who? That's really important. So, because again, when I found that out, I was or led down that rabbit hole. I was surprised. It was on a Moor situation. I was like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? All this time we've been talking about this when that might have just been such a small story, an offshoot of something else. So, yeah.
Listen.
Even though, sorry to jump in, but we talk about Jesus, we talk about Christianity, we talk about those stories. That's something that was also can be argued, and like. But that's the whole.
Man. How it was used, and whatever in it, all of it, man, all of it.
Time is it?
No, man, we can go there. We can go there.
To get through here.
We're for the realness. So you might have to come on the main pod, boy. I'd say that, boy. Yeah. We have discussed it, so I think you have to come on the main pod, mate. I'll tell you that.
Oh, man. I don't know. Because I've got into the habit of keeping my mouth shut these days. I think it's so much more controversial.
It's
we go on there and start picking apart.
Bring it back. We don't sit on the fence, man. We don't bring it back.
I would always say that Christianity, a lot of the time, the Bible came with the chains. And if you go,
changing the guns, you know what I'm saying? Changing the guns. Let me tell the truth.
But if you go to Jamaica or you go to the Caribbean, they've got the most churches per square mile than anywhere else in the world. But they're still looking and praying to a white Jesus, which is not necessarily correct if you look back at the bit where it says copper skin and wool, like hair like wool, but they're still looking at that image and taking that on as their God. But this is I say, I like what you're saying there, Nat, and just to support that even more, if you want to just check it out again, what Jesus does Vladimir Putin reference and look at and have up in there? What Jesus is he looking at? Like, again, famously. So that's another good point. Very interesting. There's some very interesting hue of tone, should we say? So There's it's interesting. Different parts of the world as we're moving later into the 2020s seem to be discovering or discussing the identity of and the kind of the image of Jesus, because again, like, we're understanding and we're learning so much more, but some things don't make sense, do they? Some things don't make sense in terms of what we know, in terms of what happens to, or what kind of happens to the skin, or subgroups that lived in certain areas. So there's lots. But let's again, we come back to the point of his story. Who's writing the history is whose point of view you're reading. And the history books that we're reading are written by white people. So here we are. Maybe should I do a history lesson? Should I do it?
Yeah, go on, drop it.
Let's go.
Divided and conquered, fractured, beaten and singed. We're still living the legacy of Willie Lynch's dream. They'd have us believe this is where our history begins. But before we were enslaved, we walked this earth as kings. Filling the gaps that his story forgot. This may take some time because the gaps are a lot. An example? For 800 years, the Moors were the rulers of Spain. Their teaching and practices were Europeans' gain. Italy, Sicily, Malta, Scotland. Anywhere with the name Moor right here in England. I bet you didn't know that the Moors inhabited these lands. They inspired the Renaissance, but you won't see that in textbooks or medium-term plans. Long before Columbus apparently set sail, the Moors had travelled and developed this world. Proven facts. I don't mean to gloat, but the Moors saved millions by teaching about hygiene and introducing soap. They elevated people from the ages of stone. Moorish Spain was Europe's educational home. They opened up doors, sent out a beacon of light. As before they came, 90% of the population could not read and write. Here's a few more facts that you probably will not see. The Moors were the founders of alchemy, mathematics, technology. The facts are there, hidden in plain sight, omitted, unacknowledged, but showing only part of the story just isn't right. Now, we may have never heard of Kemet and Timbuktu. Out of hundreds of civilizations, these were but two. Ethiopia, Aksum, check their history, dominated trade and created early currency. Nigeria, Benin, with its palaces of brass, was beautiful until Brits came and pillaged and burned it to dust. Ghana, with the richest gold mines in the world, influenced international trade with the power they held. The Zulus of Africa would not bend the knee. The Brits suffered at the hands of their military. Not culture created courts way back in BC. Judicial systems in place for centuries. Kush, Carthage, Punt, Songhai. When I hear of these stories, it brings a tear to my eye. To think that my people were the descendants of slaves, when the reality is, we paved the way. Study real story, and you will see our story is much bigger than black chattel slavery.
Oi, come on.
Yeah.
This is why we got around the show. Is it now?
Welcome. Yeah.
Yes,
You can come back. You can come back.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Anytime you want.
I love that
Yeah.
poem. I love it.
Yeah.
It's part of because I wrote it for that fashion show, but it was too long, so I split it into 3 parts. And that bit is powerful. I performed that at school, because it's like we need to.
Yes, you need to understand.
We need to. There's so much more history, and it's like yes, Malcolm. Yes, Marcus. I love it.
Exactly.
Great.
But past that, before that, before slavery, please, let's go before slavery.
Yeah,
please,
before slavery.
That, please.
So we can uplift rather than
again, please,
going down into
please,
this. Oh my!
Exactly.
That's why whenever I've thought,
I heard the post-traumatic slave syndrome. Like
Yeah.
there's Joy. What was her name? Miss Joy Dugarry. I had this video way back, and it's about how we are impacted by slavery. The generations are impacted by slavery, and I do feel that the racism that we all suffer, yeah, we are impacted by it, but we have to actually lance the boil, is what she would say, which is face the issues so that we can move forward. And if we keep going back to that point, we're going to keep living in trauma. Whereas if we go back further and we can see more of our qualities, more of our successes, more of our wins, and feel empowered, then we're going to be able to elevate further. We're going to be able to uplift. But if you think that inside, I'm only this and this is, like, I feel a lot of us are trapped and blocked in. And what we aspire to, the very material culture and what our young men have to aspire to be a successful black man, it's like it's usually linked to money, because that's what we've been chasing. Because we are now we're in poverty compared to our European counterparts because of where we were placed. So how can we get back up Do you know what I'm saying? Like Jamaica, like if you think about the systems and the Caribbean and Africa, like the Europeans went in there, split it up, took what they wanted to take out of it, took the resources.
And still taking
But then we're still over there in poverty, and us Western ones are still living in a certain gap that's completely different to the aristocracy or the what, like, and it's crazy. We're living in a world now where they're talking about British culture and immigrants and all of these things, but what the Europeans have taken from the world is just ridiculous. It's laughable.
It's laughable.
It's laughable
because you know that the country couldn't get built without us. You know what I mean? All
Like,
of us come before, like
the
all
Windrush. What people came over here and did, they built this land. It's crazy.
All right, I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna join you now. I'm gonna get controversial. So there's 2 points. There's 2 points there. There's 2 points there that you said that I think we need to look at. Yeah, the first off, but it's back to Malcolm's point. Yeah, like you said, the listening to what was talking about. Certain groups of people were not allowed to vote, and that was in Americas. Yeah, but let's come to over here. So the same thing in terms of segregation bias, how things were not equal and fair. Who's been involved had an opportunity to influence and direct policy and politics. Yeah. So even today, so again, we bear in mind for the histories. If we go through the histories again, just goes back to even if we go from Winston Churchill to now. Yeah, let's go from there to now. You can see again the potential and the not particularly democratic or equal in terms of the application of policy. So again, now you introduce some of those things maybe 2 or 3 decades ago, but does it then become even, or is there always an imbalance? Was there always an imbalance? Yes, there's still an imbalance because to start off with, a certain subgroup of people weren't even allowed to engage in that, so it took time to offshoot those points, but actually we might never actually get there, or how long it might take to get there might never actually happen. So that's a really big key thing to think of. So come back in, take that fact and link that in with what you're saying there, and that in terms of, but I'm going to be devil's advocate here as well in terms of black people. So again, like you say, there's the amount of theft that has taken place from the homelands and the heritages of our peoples, yeah, is outrageous. And I think again to the point, yeah, to the stage that people don't understand, because there's been so much misdirection from understanding the truth about how much there has been stolen. Yeah, so cool. People don't even understand where, like I say, the phone batteries we're using now, the devices that we have now, anything with a battery in it, all of them things are being stolen from mines in Africa's, yeah, right now. So cool. Let's not even get into that. Let's remain ignorant that you don't need to have any engagement in these subjects because they don't relate to you. Okay, fine, yeah, but they do, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this is black people's problem, and this is why Black History Month is maybe a good time to maybe collectively join people's view, because maybe of that 1 month, Black History is a subject that black people might actually click onto, because they are not engaging in it throughout the rest of the year or actively doing anything to better themselves. Because again, like you say, the amount of these companies that are stealing resources from us to then go and create a device or to create a clothing line, a fashion or a trend that we buy into, but don't create of our own. Yeah, I don't know how many years, especially since lockdown or during lockdown. Again, we had another big spike during the BLM movement, on the George Floyd, again, all of these things knock-on effect, but we saw the encouragement of engagement with black-owned business, yeah, diversifying the pools of where you invest your money so that we can maybe keep the high street alive, and also local communities and businesses that might have values within certain subgroups and provide the access to produce that you wouldn't otherwise be able to access, yeah. But again, after a couple of years, and we've gone back to a digital age where everything, and we're allowed to go out and go to the high street shop, get doom scrolling, yeah, to see things and be introduced to things that we don't actually need. We've been forgetting again that we're just making richer the same people who have no interest in our history and only in the exploitation of our resources. And that's something that I don't think people are spending enough time to talk about. And I'm specifically talking about black people, because again, like Malcolm says, and opened up to other subgroups, they would behave the same way, would they not, if they were in the same position? So Yeah, maybe in that way there needs to be an extreme approach into how we look at ourselves.
It's true.
Nah.
Poem was it? One standing alone, like a thread can be broke, but 1,000 threads, we call this a rope. One shot in the mayhem disappears like a match's smoke, but all shine together causes enough smoke to choke. Together we are powerful, solid as a rock. Invest in black business, increase our stock. Black Panther, the first film to make $1 billion worldwide. We stand up with shout Wakanda, crossing our chests with pride. We channeled our money into this fantasy, and now let's do the same for our reality. But what I feel happens a lot with us, we are so absorbed in our own little world. And this is part, again, from the Willie Lynch kind of mentality that's been placed on us. Because it's that divide and conquer, separate. We're definitely, people are very much for themselves. And industry, the world is very much for themselves. But I think in certain other communities, they do a lot more to pull their family through. Whereas I feel like black people tend to be a little bit more fractured. And we're hyper vigilant in a way where I need to make sure that me and mine are up where we need to be. So now I need to get what I can get, and I need to get it for the best price. And I feel like we lack community, and because there are so many different types of black people, it's hard because black is such a big, like this is the big pool that you're describing. You've got Caribbean, just in the Caribbean, you've got like how many you got? We got. I remember when me and Gavin were working together back in that school. I don't bet up the name of the school, but there was a teacher who is an African teacher. I could bet off his name because he's really cool, but he had that kind of mentality about the Caribbean African
dynamic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
You know what? I'm so glad that over the years we've developed much further. Like, African culture is now more celebrated than Caribbean culture, which I feel I'm really happy about. Even though I'm Caribbean, but I was always brought up with the Rasta mentality of Africa's your homeland, isn't it? So no one you can't be looking at someone calling them boo boo when this way you're going. So
and you can't have this before this. Do you know what I mean? It's very
see what I'm saying? But people don't have that mentality. And African Caribbeans are separate, light dark separate. This was Jamaican, small island separate, men women separate. This is the Willie Lynch mentality where we've been able to be mentally separated, and I think that's what we need to work on. But it's just we've got a lot of communities within the black community, so how do you pull everybody in?
Do you know what I think is a good way to do that? Do you know what was, for me was I think relates back to it. This is an incredibly extreme bucket list challenge for our watchers, listeners, viewers in the future, and to us, our guests today. Yeah, but do this one. Yeah, have a think about this one. Go and have a look at your church, the church you went to, grew up, or going to, or your family may have convened at. Yeah, and then just have a little look at it. Look at the geometry, look at the design, the agricultural design, look at the materials, the location, the landscape. And then now go and take yourself to East Africa. Yeah, take yourself to East Africa. Have a look, go to Ethiopia. Yeah, go to Malawi. Have a look at Kenya. Yeah. And then look at a church over there. There's the stark another thing to kind of link us back to come back to why it's important to explore history or what kind of history there is.
Can you, because I want to do it now, but what's the difference? What is the answer?
You're going to see the difference. The different one of the immediate and grand differences is the way that you'll see things showered with gold, the way that you will see the whole aesthetic and the representation, the quality of the structure is very, very different. The materials used, very, very different. The way that it is respected, very, very different. Yeah, in a stark contrast. Yeah, and so that's what I say. For the same religion, how can and why are the places of worship so different? when you go to one or contrasting parts of the world. Because what you said was really interesting. Again, like you say, the idea of like the European black person, isn't it? Like, so, and then the British black. Like I said, I agree. I myself, I'm Caribbean, but I like it or not, I take the British status. I say I'm British. I'm black British.
I was born here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm born here,
I
mate.
didn't go away until I was 21 years old. That was the first time I left the country. Until then, I had only been to different places in the UK. I'm more British. I would argue. I study English. Yeah, I'm interested in English. I'm fascinated in English. I have more understanding of English than some people who would like to say that I'm not English. So I will battle all day about this idea of identity and being British and am I not British or not? Yeah. And cool. Again, like it or not, my choice or not, cool. I'm British. Hell, I didn't choose to come here, be born here. I didn't choose where I was like. Again, this is it. This is how it was. So I think these are important points. These are important things to ask yourself and to help you to remember history. Because again, another thing to think about is curriculum. Yeah, curriculum is not global. Curriculum is specific to the country and location that you're in. The curriculum here is different to curriculum Ireland. Yeah. Even within the United Kingdom, the curriculum is different, slightly altered. Yeah. And then if you go to PRUs, you go to alternative educational provision. Yeah. You see again how different again the curriculum is. And even when you go to a private school now, in a massive contrast to that, or an independent school, yeah, there's an interesting approach to the curriculum again. And all of those are teaching a subject such as history, and that is impressing what the history of the world and how the mechanics of function work and are employed. And that's something we need to think about.
Well, this is why like in lockdown it was very frustrating, because the whole George Floyd thing opened up a can of worms in terms of how Black history was taught in schools, if at all it's taught in schools, where we start from. Why isn't it not a all year round thing on the calendar rather than just 1 month, which supersedes the September, which is when everybody's running around like headless chickens, and then we go into this month and it's just like an afterthought because people don't even spend money, into it. I used to work in a school, and I used to be the person who used to put together the Black History Months because I never did one. The majority of the school were Black, kids were Black in the school. Could count on my one hand how many white kids they had in the school, but never had a Black History Month. And I was like, what's going on? So when I did do it, when I did put it together, we put like nowadays people, so people they could relate to nowadays, heroes but with olden days people, put posters up all around the school, give them activities to do in the break times, in the tutor time. You know that half of the staff body didn't show them the PowerPoint that I made, and the excuses were that they didn't know, they felt uncomfortable, delivering it.
Inspired.
Yeah. You know how much work got put into this thing, because they said you have to, if we're gonna do it, let's make it so that they got things to do, we've got stuff that we're setting out to do, whatever. And these people were going, well, what it is, the kids were saying they didn't want to watch it or they don't want to do this. No. It's an important thing. They need to see it. Do you know what I mean? In my lessons where I was teaching drama, I would always go from an Afrocentric viewpoint of the world. So it's here outwards, not outwards in. Here outwards. Do you get me? Know your place and where you are within the world and why people see you differently, and what can you do to make people see you as the shining being that you should be, as opposed to you've just happened to be here and you're just happenstance doing things, and when things that happen to you and upon you, you don't know how to react. Do you get what I'm saying? So I would do a whole syllabus on context, just on the word context. Understanding your context within the school you're in, being approved or alternative provision place, and the way that the context of the way the local government sees you, then extensively the government of the country sees you, and the powers that be see you. What can you do then to show them that you're not the stereotypical person that they think you are? Whether you have this or you're fairer than this or whatever it is, even if you're white, don't make them believe that you're a stereotypical thing of what people for you to be. So I used to play them Coach Carter. You know the film Coach Carter?
Yeah.
As a player, the coach starter.
Do you know what I find quite funny as well? You saying about the teachers not wanting to show the video.
Mm.
When black people talk about black issues, it's still that I was talking about that post-traumatic stress syndrome. The counterparts are still very uncomfortable with it. And then also, what I also find is like white British people or students, in my experience, they don't feel like they have a culture. So when it comes to Black History Month, they're like, "Mom, I'm just English. Like I haven't got culture." And I'm like, "Yes, you have got culture. I'm British. I'm part of British culture. Fish and chips. This is part of our culture. This is you have culture from being here, but white people don't necessarily feel like in that content of the Black History Month that they're allowed to step forward and celebrate their culture, which is why it becomes uncomfortable. And it's like, that's not them being necessarily racist. It's just not feeling comfortable to step into that scene. And it's because it's been given to us as a month, Black History Month. Go on, guys, get in the box, do your little jigaboo stuff. And then go on. But you know what I mean? It's like, you come in, you do your little, here's your platform. This is not for us. And it sometimes it's hard to watch the young people. We talk because I do lessons about identity when I first start with my students, and I'm sometimes sitting in the room at intervention, and I just sit and talk with them. So I'm like, right, who are you? Where are you from? What's your culture? And you always find that the white British ones are like, I haven't got a culture. I haven't got, but no.
Which is why you need to listen to our culture and see what it's all about, isn't it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I feel like they need to be able to celebrate themselves. It's like, it's not necessarily.
I would only argue that and
say it's funny. I just me being devil's advocate and just seeing how they don't feel like they can, that they've got it.
Yeah,
and we're just so rich with culture. And we're rich with food, and we're rich with this. And you said it earlier, where it's like almost that we're so strong, we're so black that other people pale in existence to what we're doing. But I don't know, it's interesting.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Sorry about that, people, but that's what it is. What it is. All I can say is that although they don't have, or they feel like they don't have their own culture, or maybe they do, need to maybe need to go back to the the Normans and the, you know what I'm saying, and all the other people that came across, the Vikings and the Saxons and the rest of it. Maybe they should learn a bit more about that. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I could argue that we kind of have to celebrate their history, or their parts of their history, or the selected parts of the history every day.
No, we don't have to celebrate the history. We have to live their present, and that's the reality. We're living in your box. You know,
if you go by the T, then you're left be celebrating it because,
down here.
Do you know what I mean? We're basically celebrating it if you go by the T, because we got to learn all the stuff that we don't always want to learn, but we have to learn it. So it's, in a sense, that's why we take on some of the characteristics, because we feel we have to,
I just feel like the history of Black history is still unfolding each and every day. You've got Windrush. Like the other day, they wanted to throw everybody from the Windrush out because you ain't got your papers. And a girl that I knew, she came over as
had papers and stuff
from Gambia, and her mum lost. She didn't register her, and she didn't get her papers. They wanted to throw her out as well. Took away all of her benefits. Took away everything. So racism is still there. It's still here and very, very, very present. But yes.
All right. Okay. I just think that that's a really, really, really good set of points that you made there. And yeah, I'm just pro-black, so I just keep my shut on this particular part here, because
I'm not saying that they
no. I'm saying
they have to celebrate, but I'm just saying it's just watching them
wrong.
Sometimes. It's just I think we've had such a fight that we have to have that black pride, them ones. And if having that black pride makes people uncomfortable, then that's their problem, not ours. And it's important that you have to be pro-black. That's what I'm saying. That was my point.
I'm
on your side, but I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, no, and fair enough, innit? I think you're right, because there are kids outside with down kids are like, don't know what to do with themselves. They want to just
Yeah, they're like, I
freak
don't
down.
know.
Do you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
the mad thing is we set the trends in it, but we don't own the trends, and this is the thing in it. We set trends, we
That's
don't
what I'm
own it.
saying.
Or we set it, it's owned by
That's
us, and then we sell out to somebody. Then we know.
Sell it out to somebody else and
You
they
know
don't
what I
know.
mean? So
Yeah.
we're
That's
never
the
going to get
phrase.
anywhere. We're
We
never
set
going
the
to get
trend, we
anywhere
don't make
if we're
them,
just
yeah.
selling pieces ourselves all the time. Just like
Mhm.
the resources in our countries, we're selling off them one by one for the biggest donate. You know, I saw something today, right? That said, it was on X, formerly known as Twitter, and it said, if Africa were to trade within itself, it would be an 80 billion trade
Wow.
force.
That's a
Yeah,
number.
80 billion in trade revenue. That's what it would make if it traded within itself, and it didn't. Almost
Yeah.
did like a Wakanda and shut down. You know what I mean? It just says,
Mhm.
right, we're gonna respect each other and whatever. It would never happen, but you know what I mean?
But remember, historically, there is debt. There's national debt. When the Europeans came in and took their slices, they left a lot of those people with debt.
Mhm.
I swear I remember, I can't remember the facts of it, but I remember something about shipping and import. Like, I remember saying that a lot of African countries import rice
Import. Yeah.
from America
Mhm.
and other countries,
And they don't need to.
but they can't.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't give them the opportunity to grow their own because of tax laws, and there's a lot of wrapping of Africa from colonialism that they are so behind in debt. And then you've got on the other side of it now, you've got the Chinese coming in, building roads,
Exploiting.
and then putting them back into debt. So if
Them
Africa
long-term
could
contracts.
start trading, get up and get on its feet, it'd be great. But because there's so many little loopholes and traps and pits that have been put in place over centuries, and then there is also corruption and greed and that mentality of selfishness as well that we have to take responsibility for as well. But there's a long way for us to go until we can do shut down Wakanda.
Yeah,
Because
which is what. Which is why.
How?
You're right. You're right, and which is the same reason why I was saying like it would take a long time for it to happen, or you know what I mean? Because everybody wants power. Everybody wants to own the whole of it. The one thing I was going to say was that the connection of everybody doing it together would be such a great boon for the world. And I was saying that you were talking about the debt. Some countries are actually starting to wake up, like small countries like Burkina Faso and Ghana and other places are starting to say, no, hold on, we don't even need you. Like we've got this, but it's starting, but it's slow. It's very slow.
And there was the countries a couple of years ago, I can't remember which country it was, but they said, nah, we had enough. And there was a lot of people that got hurt in it, which I'm not necessarily condoning. But when people actually start to say, no, come out. This is our land. This is our resources. Take care of yourself. Go back to where you came from.
Zimbabwe did that, innit?
Yeah. And so, no, you're not doing that anymore.
But it's no similar to what other countries have done, where they've said, look, we don't even want you. Come out of the thing. And it'll be interesting if that ever happened over here. They said that we want everybody to go back to their native place and whatever. It'd be interesting.
In England,
how this could be like.
No, never. They couldn't do it.
Yeah. All right.
This country is so made up of everybody else.
Yeah.
And our DNA is under certain banks and things. But anyway, Kadeem, you want to go with your next one? Let's see your next one. How many have you done, Nat? 3?
History lesson and We Will Rise. 2.
All right. 2. Okay.
So, yes.
It's Kadeem's next, isn't it? How many have you done, Kadeem? 2.
1.
I'm about to start a villain arc. Pick apart the things that didn't work to form a part of something that worked for me from the start. The lark of halves will have to pass, as I have no time for actual asks. I have to pass the things that last on to those who will be there for me once I have passed. So in stark contrast, I'll pick apart the things that would otherwise last and reroute the path to my course to ensure they are given a second chance. Because my villain arc picks apart the past of parts and builds the parts to fix a task that you didn't ask. One that was for me, one you couldn't see, one that I did ask, but you chose not to agree. So my villain ask, it starts with 3: upset, loss, and victory. Upset is first and is of worth, as it is when you're upset, your work, that the second stage can start work, can be committed to the page and cleanse yourself of friends who felt hurt. Step 1, upset. Step 2, cleanse yourself of friends who felt, but they were destined for your aid, able to always take away, leaving you lost of something in some form or shape of way. But the gold that you put on display today to evidence the struggle that you outstruggled and got away allows you to prevail and say that you committed these acts to bring victory to your family. So my villain arc, it has 3 parts. It comes in first and ends with the last, and is unhappy and happy to upset a fixed task to benefit those from my tribe and my caste. So many villains have pushed past the past of my caste and my tribe's past that it uncovers the villainous arc, as we were treated as tasks to be used, completed, deleted, and passed. And so why it's high time I engage in my own villainous arc.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Give me the tones behind this poem, bro. I like it.
I actually wrote this poem literally just a couple of weeks back. And it was the idea, just sitting in this is why the writing is important and discussion is important, because we can rheumatize around the things that may not happen, fiction in a sense. But from a fictional perspective, I imagined, what if a band of people were to react angrily and deliberately, tactically devise a plan of villainy, yeah, to benefit their own kind. So that was what I sat with, and that's why I wrote the piece, because again, like you say, how many wrongs can you accept, or can a group of people be asked to accept before it is globally or widely agreed, disproportionately agreed, that they were right to band together and fight or retort to raise their arm and say, no, I'm not okay with this. Yeah, like you say, equal rights, equal fights, right? So why and at what stage would be the trigger for combat? So again, the idea, because I think it's interesting that, like I say, there's a bit of a play in that one, because a lot of people would see certain subgroups as villains, isn't it? They would get that label anyway, despite the fact that they're actually, and let's do this one. Let's do this one. Let's do the brilliant hypocrisy of this country as we talk about the migrants issue. Yeah, we talk about the migrants issue and people being willing to work for less wage, or just to But then let's go to all our care homes in the UK. Yeah, what population of nationalities, work and support our care homes and aging populations in the UK?
Say what? I think it's the brown kind, mate.
I hate to break it to you, whether or not, so there's all kinds of hues of brown, but there's brown to be seen. You might not find them in the lovely Canary Wharf skyrise buildings. You might not find them in any kind of financial streets, but you will find them in care centers, end of life care, day-to-day in-house care. I think that's interesting, because as much as we talk about the imprint, like you say, Britain is now Great Britain because a collection of people band together to support people. And I think you can see that through the industry that is the NHS. Let's go back to that one. Go to the NHS, and the next time you have an issue with people who are not or are diverse, providing you healthcare, again, go to private then, and then find the same thing, and you have private healthcare that there is diversity there as well. And do you see, this is the thing. I just thought about, despite the fact that you can label a group of people as a villain or not have interest or turn the blind eye, like you say, when somebody is kneeling on somebody's neck to the stage that they are asphyxiated, or pull out their camera and not do anything about it as besides from post. Yeah, these are the things that I would ask. Well, how long should somebody be allowed to accept this level of disrespect? And let's openly have that discussion. That's again why the purpose of the month is there. Let's openly have this discussion, because again, if this wasn't a discussion that could be had by, again, certain subgroups throughout the world, then there's no discussion to be had, right? What color is the sky? What is up? What is down? What is left? What is right? We know that. We agree. We don't need to discuss. Cool. Go to Brazil, we know what left is. Go to Antarctica, we know we're down from up. Yeah? But we can't unanimously agree on these points. So until we unanimously agree, that's what I would define as equality. So coming back to your point earlier on that, about unconscious bias, brilliant. You're right. And to talk about what you're talking about there, G, the whole subject of progression. Yeah, we have things in place like unconscious bias, but it wasn't until what you said there today that did it hit me. Oh my God. As good as the words in the supposed policy that is supposed to be there, it's a get out. It's a get out clause now. In its name, I've been blindsided. Yeah. Unconscious bias. That implies that you did not want to or mean to or did something without knowing. Hold on a second. Well, who's to say? Who is to say? And where is the metric assessment of someone's consciousness? That is the conversation for another day.
Yeah.
It's convenience. That's what it is. That's where the message is.
Exactly. Convenient bias, yeah.
People get away with things. Like there was there was a head, she's left now, but made a comment. It was so three black LSAs working within the school. All three very different. Two of them are quite similar. Typical macho black guys have a laugh, but then you've got another one who's not typical. The students might say that he's always like a fed black, but he's like very straight down the line, great guy, vegan, eats very healthily, rides into work. Teachers the head teacher's now looking for the support staff. She's walked into the reception and asked the black receptionist, I can't find anybody. What's going on here? Like, have you seen them? And she's like, oh, no, I don't know I don't know where they are. And she's like, oh, well, maybe they're in the chicken shop. And what? And so the reception, she let her get away with that. I said, what? I would have fainted if you say something like that in front of me. I would have done the Matrix. Like, what? How are you going to generalize that they're all in the chicken shop? Unless they were buying watermelons, who knows? But it's like this attitude that if you think it's okay to assume that these lazy black people that you can't find must have all gone off to go and eat chicken, because clearly that's all they eat. Well, one of them's a vegan. But it's like it's perfectly okay for you to say these things out loud, and then afterwards you'd be there. That's the
sorry, I didn't know. I didn't know
that you take offense to that.
Everybody eats chicken. Everybody eats chicken, right? I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't know. Now, I had the same thing last week in the office when people were talking about chicken wings because they were looking to go and get something for lunch, and one person said, "I don't like wings. There's not really a lot of meat on the bone," and they said, oh, and then somebody else said, you don't like wings? That's really unusual. And then the person that said they don't like wings, they said, well, most people don't like wings, but I don't know. Let's ask Kadeem. Kadeem, what do you feel about wings?
People will tell me that
what?
I don't eat meat.
Wait, hold on. Wait. They said, Kadeem, what do you think about wings?
Yeah. What do I think about wings? Like, Yeah, what do you think of that? What do you think of that?
Get the
Before I
back.
give you my retort, what do you think about that one? So I thought in Black History Month, what? Because could race have anything to do with that, or you just going to ask about wings? What are you saying?
People will swear that they've seen me eating chicken. I don't eat chicken. I haven't eaten meat since I was 8. But people will swear blind. If I say I don't eat chicken, they're like, yes, you do.
Yes, you do. We've
course
seen
you
you at the
do.
cook up in the jerk.
You know you eat
man.
chicken.
You keep forgetting about nighttime night. You do.
My dad is
Got
a
hot
jerk
sauce in
man,
your
but
bag.
I haven't had his chicken.
Mhm.
So, you know. But anyway.
Yeah. The bold-facedness of it. The bold-facedness to ask me about chicken wings. And I thought to myself, well, hold on a second. So I tell you what, my response. My response, I said, oh, chicken wings. Chicken wings. Okay. Cool. Well, why me? I said, to me. I said, I made it quite clear. I
That's
looked
what I want to know. What did they say? And they said,
yeah,
why
I
me?
looked over here. I looked over here because there were people over here and there were people over there. So I asked them. I said, "You're asking these guys? You're talking at me?" And they were like, "Oh, straight away they checked themselves. Well, I'm just asking you your opinion on. So you're asking me my opinion on what? Why are you pausing? Why are you now pausing when I'm asking you to repeat the question?
Yeah.
What could possibly be the problem with you repeating the question?"
I had another friend, he's African, his name was Kwame, and then they wanted to know how to spell bumper class, so they were asking him. It's just,
Why would
but it's unconscious.
why does Kwame know? He's African, brother,
black
and he's
people say that.
he's obviously gonna he's obviously Patrick Paco. He knows, yeah, he's used to he's obviously Jamaica. Yeah. See, wow, yeah, it's just do you know what? It's a controversial one, I don't even. I was questioning whether to drop it, but why not? Me, I don't really hold that back. Earlier on, Matt, you said that British people would say that they don't have a culture, yeah, and that their culture is not there, or English people's culture is not there. I've had a conversation recently. I was in a conversation recently with another ethnic group, and they were having this similar conversation in response to the flags. Yeah, in response to the flags that are going up.
Yeah.
And they said, you see, this is where the challenge is, because Britain has a history and a culture, and the history and culture, they don't like it because the thing that they are the best of and that is rooted in them is theft.
It's fair.
Very, you could, and that extends to
renamed and rebranded.
Yeah, again to colonialism. Because if you go to even the history that they promote or that is promoted, it's still recognized as colonialism, doesn't it? So we don't talk about, again, the stark way in which you can see or tell a story, isn't it? Because again, you have what has made Britain great today, with your national dishes being things that were not spices that are used or garnished or created and cultivated in your land. Yeah, flavors that weren't there. Right. Yeah, the ingredients that are not natively got, that just arrived apparently. Yeah, but then we don't talk about having interest in having some multiculturalism or multicultural being there. And then, like I said, but I'm interested in the debate, because some people would then say that this is about making Britain great again. Yeah, and I like what. If we're talking about the people, because I don't know if you saw, I saw the offshoot, and G put you on task now. You might be able to get there was an Afghan brother that was convicted yesterday for his comments, or the video, can I add, on Nigel Farage, yeah? He made a comment to Nigel Farage in relation to and he got labeled as a terrorist. The guy has a AK-47 on his face, tattooed on his face. He's just been given a custodial sentence. Yeah, you got him. It's really interesting, like, again, how we look at what a migrant is, because again, if we take what the media is saying about the gentleman and we take the video, yeah, cool. Yeah, if these people are trying to come to the country, this is, yeah, go. And I'm not talking, it's not a race thing. It's not a race thing. But I'm talking about if there is a specific country where this is trafficking, this kind of madness, where people are saying they want to come here to rape, steal, and pillage, then yes, That needs to stop. That's what the flag. But I don't think the majority of people, and this is where it's really difficult, because is that the epidemic that of what we're talking about? Because when I walk on the streets, I'm not seeing that. I'm not needing to be keeping safe from these droves of migrants who don't have papers, who are just carrying weaponry. I don't see that. I don't see that. The majority of the thing that makes Britain great is, I see, all sorts of backgrounds, of histories and cultures, yeah, experiences and cuisines that then create family and unity, yeah, and then we have a democracy as a result of that, yeah, supposedly a supposed democracy, because like we said, we're overseen, yeah. So there's a difference, and yeah, if you, yeah. I think you've been successful in pulling something up. Yeah.
So very quick, but yeah.
Very, very, very quick.
Fayez Khan, who arrived in the UK on a small boat, has been jailed for 5 years for threatening to kill the Reform UK leader Nigel Farage in a social media post. The court heard that the 26-year-old Afghan national had live-streamed his journey crossing the channel on TikTok, attracting a large number of viewers. He was also sentenced for entering the UK illegally after pleading guilty to the offence.
So the whole argument here. Yeah, 5 years. He's apparently had 13 convictions in other countries in Europe, and then Nigel Farage. Now, this is the difficult, because if you can find the video, try and find the video that he got him arrested. The actual the quick 30-second response to Nigel Farage, the video that they managed to prosecute him on. It's an interesting point, because the media talks about what was said. And you see the image of a gentleman who looks like he's in a war-torn background, is obviously wearing some cultural garb, and is not particularly, maybe not of the national race, and has facial tattoos of weaponry.
Do you know what platform you saw it on?
Yeah, it was a YouTube. I seen it on a YouTube. I saw a link for a YouTube. Yeah, then that's when I think it's interesting, because when you go to the video, the guy's actually saying that he's not very happy with what Farage was saying. He's not actually happy with the way he is being labeled and the way that his race is being washed with a certain type of potential imagery. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting what you're trying to say potentially. But then at the same time, maybe that is just a small garb to just disguise the fact that you just want to commit intentional harm, premeditated and intentional harm. G, let me see how you're going with finding it. Let me see if I can pull something up for you as well. I'm going to work a little multi-screen for us all as well. Yeah, it's a strange one. But Nat, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts in it on extremism, and what's your thoughts on this idea of labeling an entire race as something? So, for instance, yeah.
Well, I always like the idea when the idea of terrorist versus freedom fighter. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, people can be branded something and made to feel something. Like the people coming in, immigrant crisis. If you think about when Windrush and when the Caribbean people came over here, the abuse and the same kind of fear-mongering attitude and approach that our grandparents had to face when they came over here. So I don't Nigel Farage, all the flags going up, and I don't think necessarily that having the British flag is up is a negative, but it's about, again, you can't legislate what people's mind. When you're showing that flag, what is the message that you're actually
what's that? Yeah, what is the intention behind it? Like,
it's more about the intention.
Because the women just won the Rugby World Cup, yeah, and that's a valiant reason to display a flag. But are there that many rugby supporters?
No. So we found him, man.
We found it. Yeah, we got. This is the video. This is the video. I want to give us your opinion. Let's see if it's uncut. Maybe it might be censored. But let's see. I saw this video.
It's yeah, because we've got to be careful what we show.
What we show. Yeah. But let's just respond to what we're saying. Or do we want the
Englishman?
Are we right?
All right, here we go.
Englishman, Nigel Passa. Don't talk. about me. You not know me. I come to England because I want to marry with your sister. I gonna come to England. I gonna mother. You know.
Here's a case of someone who we know a lot about. I want you to watch this film and think to yourself, is this the kind of person we want to come and live in our country? Is this the kind of person you would like to move in next to you? The guy's name is Madapasa. He's been living in Stockholm. He clearly wants to be a big star on TikTok, on social media. He wants to become an influencer, and perhaps he thinks his chances are better coming to the United Kingdom and doing it here. Here's a clip of him with a mate. That's right, a gun. Not just a gun tattooed onto his face, but an actual gun. Madapasa will, without doubt, be in our country by the weekend. He won't leave. He'll be able to stay here for the rest of his life. That is almost 99% certain.
You know when it's just fear mongering though, and it's just fear mongering. The language is used is very specific and
Can I
very
just clarify?
much.
So that guy's got 5 years for saying he wants to come over England, marry your sister, and bloop bloop bloop.
Yeah.
That was it.
On his face.
The bloop bloop.
That's
That's
the thing on his
enough.
face. Yeah,
And he's scared. He's
That's enough,
scared in a minute, though. You know,
To
it's
go
old firm.
jail.
Scared, isn't it? He's talking about he knows his
5 years.
That's what he's saying.
Jail.
Like he said, he's coming here with the intention of trying to create a platform. Does he not? Does he consciously know what he's doing?
Honestly, that little clip there, because what did he even say? He said, "Don't talk about me," blah blah blah. Really?
Yeah.
5 years? He didn't even say, "Yeah." You know, like if he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna kill him." What did he say? All he said, blah blah blah. Boy, no more gun fingers, guys. don't bloop 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 to Nigel.
He does. I think in the fully uncut version, there's like an extra 5 seconds where he just specifically says Nigel Farage, and that's what he gets captured for. Because, like you say, you can't be like the intention was clear, innit? And the fact that what I think also helped is that he's headbutting the camera again. Like these are like again like I struggle to not side with Farage on that angle, because would you like your neighbor to have an AK-47 tattooed to his face and tell you that he gonna do things to your mother, daughter, sister, and with some gun fingers and start headbutting your glass window? Yeah, or send that video to you, and film that video and then tag you in it. Like again, like
Nats, what say you, Nats? What say you?
Yeah, what are you saying?
What say you, Nats? What are you saying?
Do I want to live next to him?
Yeah.
Probably get along with him, you know. I'm a people person. Do you know what it is? I'm used to being around a whole array of different types of people, you know, them ones, and we can't. I'm not gonna buy into the whole fear mongering thing. I have my own opinions of Nigel Farage and the things that he says. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. AK-47 on your face is a bit much, but doesn't necessarily mean that he's a killer and a horrible man. He could be all right.
He could be just strolling. He could be just strolling, really.
Do you know what I mean? No. He's just a someone. Like, it's not, I'm not seeing in fear that he's going to move in next door in my council flat. I'll probably be all right. Nigel, you don't have to worry about him moving in next to you, where you're living in your millionaire. You're quite safe. It's going to be
the issue is this what we're seeing on the streets, left, right, and center? Like you say, because the political narrative that's being driven, or maybe the divide is being helped to be supported, the segregation between the unity of people, is still there, because there's this idea that unity brings danger, and because the people you're trying to unify with are coming on some extreme terms or have an extreme
creating
viewpoint.
A moral panic. It's the same. Stop saying it's happened again and again over history, where a political agenda will come in, or a political policy or issue, and then they create a whole panic around that issue. And like I said, when people came over here off the boats from the Caribbean and started taking all the jobs and taking all the things, pushing in, they had that same kind of people walking around with their flags and saying people are coming and taking over our land. These immigrants are coming here and taking what we've got. So I would always be a little bit more thoughtful than to jump on those immigrants. Obviously, that guy there.
Yeah,
I mean, he said,
having a good time. He's just having a
obviously,
good
I haven't seen
time.
all of it, but I mean, that wasn't, to me, didn't come like a real threat. So to send somebody to jail for 5 years for that, to me, is a little bit.
When you could kill somebody and sometimes you don't even get 5 years. I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No sense. Doesn't make no sense.
But people are saying that Farage has got a chance of winning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, well,
But
look,
it's
I'm
very,
gonna,
very
let's be
scary.
honest,
Thinking we live in the world where Nigel Farage is going to be our leader. Like,
you know what? You know what they do is they plant it so that it happens, innit? We got to think, oh, there's no point voting with him because he's going to win. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
and this is another thing about black people don't necessarily vote enough, and I thought.
but who would we even vote for? Right?
Exactly.
Now, who would we even vote
Exactly.
for?
Because I don't buy into
You have to
isms
go
and
green. You have to
schisms.
go
You know
green.
that one. That's my mentality growing up. Like, none of you people live for me. You lot all for yourselves. So which party represents me? None of them.
One year I voted for Liberal Democrats, man, because I was like, no one's really saying nothing for me, man.
I voted
Democrats was
Liberal
a party, by
Democrats
the way.
1 year, but then their policies shifted very much. Like they came in because they were kind of from my school, like sociology, like Marxist, Weber comments. It's like they were that kind of Weberist. Like they're a little bit. Yeah. They're not all the way, but they. I thought, yeah, let me go for them. But then they kind of shifted their policies to kind of more conservative. Yeah. It's all a big farce.
And they all want to win like this, isn't it? They all win like that.
We do have power when if as a people, black people did use our political power, we could have a lot of strength. Like a good example is Nelson Mandela when he finally got out and they were allowed to vote. Look how many people voted and he became prime minister. But over here, it's a very different mentality, Western European black people. And a lot of the time, what I find is, and sometimes my thoughts growing up as well, is these things don't apply to me. Like going to school and being in a lesson and hear someone what they're saying and think, yeah, this. I'm here in the school, but these things don't necessarily really apply to me. Like I'm doing my own thing. Politics, government, yeah, these people that aren't for me, they don't really apply for me. I've got my own life. Why am I going to waste my time?
But it's by design. But
if we had somebody that we could really be behind, who knows?
By design.
But who?
It's by design because they know.
Is that not Kemi? Is Kemi not that person?
Is that the one who she did the So Solid rap? I got 21 days to go. That won me over. If that's the same.
Kemi Badenoch. Kemi Badenoch. Is that not your? Is that G? Is that
I don't really
the concept?
I'm saying, showing my lack of knowledge, really.
We've done many
I'm like, who?
Listen, we've done many a podcast on Kemi Badenoch, right? If you want to know our views about Kemi Badenoch, we've got only one person who kind of feels sorry for her, innit? You know, one of our crew that kind of feels sorry for her.
So who is she? I'm saying I'm sounding like a novice here because
she's all right. She's all right. She's a Nigerian born, British brought up black woman who's married to someone who's in high aristocracy, as in he's what was his money for him? Anyway, it's like one of them big money things that he's in charge of, or he's in coots with. Anyway, so she's basically leader of the Conservatives now. Took over Rishi, right?
Yeah.
But they were in disarray, so they kind of was like, well, we're just going to pitch a wagon on you and to see where you can what you can do. Now, the reason, obviously, we know the reason why they do that is because they know that
interesting.
They're gonna do all the destruction and all the mental destructional things that are gonna make us, if people of color or people of different persuasions, think in different ways. So she's gone on record to say that herself, she is not Nigerian. She is actually British, and she has British values. And anybody coming here should obtain and love British values, for they are what keeps us British and keeps us going in the country. Okay. She has also said, although
she don't eat no fufu. She don't.
Fufu's but yeah, you know what I'm saying. I mean, it's but yeah, like but this is what I'm saying. So she's basically saying that she's in her way, she's trying to shift that blackness off herself because you know conservatives will look at her as a black person and say, "But you're not whatever."
You know
There's
what?
videos of her talking about how she snitched on people in school and whatever, and
The fact that the
she's
Conservatives have even got a black female leader, to me, is like, okay, it's like you're challenging the ideas of what they represent and who they are. But it sounds like she's a plant, really. She go sit up there, act a certain way, and you remove your black values and just and
she
hold
even
on
said
to Britishness.
She also said that we shouldn't have any reparations. Reparations is a farce. So
On fire on her.
And you know, and
Can I-
that
am I allowed
slavery wasn't a bad thing, and all sorts, and do you know what I'm saying? She did all that kind of stuff. But she's not worried about the black folk. All she's worried about is being in cahoots with the aristocracy of the white men. That's all she's worried about. Yeah, and all the white women that are in her party. She knows all she has to do is if she could wipe this off right now, she would. And she would,
I don't know if she
you
would.
know, she would, because if you go by her words and actions that she did so far, she's trying to denounce her blackness to seem more white or seem palatable to the white people that are in the thing, so she can do more of their bidding. She doesn't want to lose that spot she's in.
Go and have a look and do research.
And also now Liz Truss is reading her way back as well, so she might necessarily become a. Yeah.
How? What have I missed? How is she coming back? No.
You hear the name. When you start hearing names, start hearing whatever.
Yeah, my
there's a movement,
politics.
there's a
I'm
shift
definitely. I've been listening to too much music and heading the decks.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
cool. It's
really-
fine. Probably a better thing anyway. Now, and the Conservative now Labour having Keir Starmer. He's an ex-Conservative, and that's why we've got some of the policies that we
He's
have now.
ex-Conservative.
So when people who are actual full Labour, right? Full Labour, or really, we're Labour, we're for the people, the common people. When they try to raise their voice and whatever, he steps on them and pushes them down, and says and forces them out of the party, or force them to a backbench or whatever it is, or denounce them totally, like Dawn Abbott and other people who were staunch swinging.
That one. She got rid of
David Lammy, who used to be a person who used to be tentatively for the people, has now decided that he's not, and he's just revoked his whole racial black card and whole everything card, and decided I'm going all in and I'm going to do this Keir Starmer's bidding. He's just gone. That's it. Not getting back. If he ever was going to come back anyway, he wasn't going to. But there you go.
But this is why black people say, if it's got to be that, I'm not going to follow this guy. And that's what I'm saying. The everyday, not saying there is a common everyday black person, because we're all very, very different. But someone like me, looking at the TV, looking at those candidates that you just put forward, it just made me go, red flag. I'm going to give you a red flag and hold my black one, because you don't represent me, and the system doesn't represent me either, which is why we end up in the situation where people just disconnect, which is sad.
The only saving grace, and I say this very, 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 like, I'm reserved when I say this, only maybe the saving grace is that the old Conservative leader, the one that was disgraced for talking about the people with all the power that should not be named, because we normally get copyright strikes so something happened to us, and he was disgraced. He started his own party with a young was she backbencher from the Labour Party? I think she's the ex-backbencher from the Labour Party, and they've started their own party. I don't know what the name. They said they were looking for names for the party. I don't know what they're called yet. But the only way they're gonna get any power, any traction, is whether the media will jump on it, or the media will say that this is a good thing. They probably won't, because they're all in bed with each other. They're all, in the destruction of our civil liberties. As much as they're saying all this stuff about racial stuff and whatever, while they're doing that, Kofi, one of our resident speakers, said they're doing magical politics, which is they're doing one thing with this, saying, yeah, you know what, we don't want them immigrants, whatever, and the other side, they're stripping all our civil liberties and all our black and white, by the way, or whatever denomination you are, all our civil liberties away by having to sign up for certain things and giving all our data away to all these magical companies that we can't do anything about.
There's a lot of that stuff going on. But I mean, I did a lot of work within lockdown. I was screaming out loud about our civil liberties being taken. And so much has been taken. We live in a completely different world now. In terms of our rights, in terms of our freedoms, like our data, like it's absolutely insane of how much of our freedoms have been given away. But yes,
and
politics is such a broad thing, man.
So, last poem from both of you, and then we'll call it a sesh.
Okay. So I've got British, which kind of links in quite well with what we're doing, and I have the other one that Bar Black You, but I might save that for another day. So let me do British.
I love that title, man. Bar Black You. I love it.
It's actually good. You'll like it. It's about.
Well, busting one after the other. Busting one after the other. Then, yeah.
All right. Let me do. Okay. British. Born, not bred. I walk the path my forefathers led. No Jamaican or Bajan twang. I speak not of the motherland. Queen's English taints my lips and tongue. Here is where my life begun. First generation. But it's my ancestry that makes up the equation. I was born here, but it's not where I'm from. My parents stem from the Caribbean. Seed sown in the Windrush generation. My grandfather said goodbye to blue skies and the Bajan breeze. Left the sun. Replaced it with knocking knees in the British freeze. They were told that the streets were paved with gold, but all they found was dirt and cold. And streets so cold, and skies so cold and dull and black, as cold and hard as the tarmac. It was a place so different from what he expected. He thought it'd be accepted, but he was rejected. Alone, family left back home. He, like thousands, came here in search of something great. Britain, they changed its fate. They laboured through the adversity and hate. Paid less, but they did their best, with a smile on their face and a high chest. They came skilled and strong-willed, experienced with qualification, but still faced job discrimination.
Jeez.
But no one could crush their pride or the resilience that they held inside. They stood so I can stand. Now, I'm forgetting it. Let's have a look.
Giga.
They stood so I can stand. Now their wisdom moves my hand. For I am their legacy. British history is etched into my family tree. Their steps are what made me, me. Black, Caribbean, of African descent, from a line of unsung heroes that had to start from zero, but they helped to mold this land. So here I stand, strong and defiant, as I stand on the shoulders of giants.
Come on.
All right.
Come
So
on.
Bar Black You. I haven't really memorized this one. I remember that was the first bit, but I've been actually performing it to some of my students because I do outreach work, and it's about stopping people from getting kicked out of school. So I've changed it slightly when I do it at school, but this is Bar Black You. Seeing as it's Black History Month, we might as well just let it out.
You might as well go there.
It's all right.
Bar Black You. How you doing in school? Don't let the system take you for a fool. Labeled by your teacher, disruptive and the pain. They'll note down on your incidents and flush you down the drain. Managed, moved, or excluded, they'll send you to a Peru. The saddest fact is, you'll probably think it's cool. Until it dawns on you the chances you have lost. As now you're in a school where it's always popping off. Frail basic lessons that don't stimulate your brain. You wish you were back in mainstream with your old friends again. But now you're stuck in a provision where there's no way out. You'll be so disheartened, you'll challenge and you'll shout. When you try to focus, you'll be surrounded by the hype. You'll be sucked into the drama. You'll be nurtured to that type. Of course you will be learning, but your curriculum is flawed. Playing with your future, taking risks you can't afford. 12 years in education, and when year 11's done, will you get your GCSEs, or will you leave with none? Bar Black You, learn how to play the game. If you don't take your opportunities, you'll only have yourself to blame. Alternative provisions and schools of special need are like breeding grounds for the corruption of our seed. But that's not the problem. It starts much before. The system is designed to ensure our youth won't score. You have to be clever, use each and every tool. The moral of the story is ensure you stay in school. Think, is it worth it if someone's goading you? If you take the bait, the one who suffers will be you. Make yourself your focus. Know why you are there. With your education behind you, you can go anywhere. Smile when you feel the anger growing in your pit. Ask, if I have this battle, who does it benefit? Don't be the joker making all your friends laugh. Be easy on your teachers because teaching's hard enough. Make sensible choices so you can't be burdened with the blame. Know when to step back. Learn how to play the game. Bar black you. Don't be scared to shine. Push yourself. There's no limit. There's no mountain you can climb.
Yeah.
I need to retain that one.
You need to do that. That needs to get out there. That needs to get out there. That needs to be out there. Why is that not out there? That's crazy.
You need to write a book. Get a book going on, please.
Get that out.
Spotify,
get a book. Because I haven't really been performing. I've got a lot of poems that I haven't.
That needs a video, man. Video for that one.
The video needs a video.
And it's so poignant. I can't remember when I even wrote that.
Yeah.
I shared it in 2018. So
come on,
that's last modified in 2018. So I wrote it.
That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. Yeah. It's interesting. That's where you're coming from. That piece was hard, and I like the perspective of we're talking about young black people, and especially with us focus on young black boys and their kind of loss in terms of seeing value in an education system that's potentially set up to be deliberately disengaging to them. So again,
prison pipeline,
right? Exactly. Like your piece. So that's why I say you need to get that out there, because that message, like you say, what benefits education provides beyond when you have to attend education is so interesting. Yeah. But you're soured, and so many people are soured because their learning type is not engaged with. Yeah. And as people who all of us have supported young people and people in alternative learning provisions, we understand that there are a million approaches to engaging with somebody to help them understand the way of learning something. Yeah. And all of us today as adults, and anybody watching this today, knows that they have learned a lesson in various ways, from being shouted at to reading something to being whispered to only having something be understood once the person who taught the lesson has passed. Yeah. So there's so much around education that young people don't have promoted about the benefits, because it may not benefit the whole population to have that awareness and that education. So this is the importance.
The way the system's set up as well. Young black boys, like a certain level of boisterousness or assertiveness, that
you're an extremist. You're an extremist.
Yeah, you're extreme. It's too much.
You're an extremist.
You're aggressive,
much, bro. You're
like
aggressive.
saying the labeling.
You get the label, bro. Like we're scared for our life. We're scared for our safety. Excuse me, police.
And a lot of the time,
I'm in fear for my life.
It's like I had to go with my son a lot of time. He's that boy. I swear he used to try to do it on purpose because he knew what my job was, behavior specialist. But he would go in. But I had to go in and fight for him on a lot of occasions. The difference between, like, if you're intimidated by my son, that's not my son intimidating you. Your fears and your unconscious bias, or your experience of what you think a young black man's going to be, is influencing the way that you're receiving my son when he gets up and, oh no, man, that's not fair, man. Doesn't mean he's going to stab you. That means he's upset. You know them ones.
And that's akin to the police when they deal with black people as well.
For example, when I first started teaching, we had arguments. Oh, kissing your teeth, that means F you. No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Oh, the Urban Dictionary says it means F you. No, it doesn't. It's expression of frustration. But if obviously it's not a good thing for students to be kissing their teeth at teachers, but if how you're processing their behavior, you've got all of this underlying, or what the Urban Dictionary tells you that means, you're misinterpreting what they're saying. You can kiss your teeth on a, oh man, like you got detention.
Yeah.
That's not.
Mhm.
You got attention.
It's
Fuck
it,
yeah.
it can be in
Mm.
inward
Yeah,
reflection.
that's
It
okay.
can be an inward reflection. Like again, like who's to say? Yeah,
You don't even know what it
culturally.
means.
Yeah, people don't
And-
understand cultures. This is again, it shows the lack of an understanding into a culture because I've never heard that before. That somebody would think that someone kissing their teeth in like a workplace or so you could be
Never
pulled
heard
up
that
as
before.
gross misconduct because this like a F you. Like wow, we are
Never heard that
so you're
before.
so
Mm.
far removed from culture to even come up with that stuff. Yeah, that's
Mm.
crazy. This is madness. Yeah, like and even so, like, so what? Is there not freedom of speech? Is that not your interpretation? Yeah, it's a sound and gesture. The same way that I'm waving you, I'm doing this. Yeah, I could be telling you hello. I could be telling you goodbye. Yeah, it's about down to interpretation. So that's
It's
a mad
the
one.
same way how you get police though. You get police saying that someone's they want to feel offended or they want to whatever, innit? And it's still that thing of the preconceived. Make you imagine when they have the training manual. You know, where the police or the they have the training
yeah,
manual.
when you're in your training and
And
they're
it's,
telling you what this
this
means.
is what a black man. This is what a black man is, and that's why when they go black man is really really strong. So let's make sure that every time we get a call out, let's get 17 policemen for one black man, and let's make sure we overpower and make sure he doesn't. Do you get what I'm saying? Can you just imagine how the way that they're stereotyped and the way that they really think
conditioning, mental conditioning.
Yeah, I remember one time I was in school and I seen him bend up a kid who must have been no older than year 10, and they 6 men on one little kid, on one little kid, and everybody seemed and the government seems it's all right because he was probably racially or not even racially, sorry, physically, intimidating the police officers or telling them to shut up or whatever it is. Listen, you have to have thicker skin than that. If you're gonna arrest somebody because someone says whatever, you know what I mean?
They're gonna resist that. And a verbal resist again. That's just it could be a warning. It could be a review of how they are feeling at the moment. Yeah, what they are. Yeah, like again, taking somebody's liberty is a massive point. Yeah, and I think, like you say, we stereotype certain. Like you're saying, interestingly, like you say, I'm sure that happens when the police are doing a profile. That's why ethnicity stats are taken because they need to know what they're responding to. Yeah. And that sort of deliberate heavy-handedness, or bias towards it, because just as a preventative measure, like you say, the unconscious bias that might be there. So when you say, well, the rule book that they read again, well, the book of bias, isn't it? Book of bias, because it is generally made up of how do we police a society based on stigma, not on research. Yeah. When was the last time that these review books or rule books or guidances? When was the last time we saw training police officers being knocking on your door and having a conversation with you about what they can do to be better? Yeah. Yeah. Is that one? Never.
No, I was just gonna say that you need to do your last poem because time.
Yeah, I got you. Right, I'm gonna cut it there, and I'm gonna give you what is. It's interesting that Nat, you brought up a poem from 2018 because I'm bringing up a poem from 2016, and I come to do that today because I'm gonna talk about an incident that happened today. Yeah, I was out in a shopping center with my other half, and I was going up. And I was going down an escalator where a young man was going up an escalator. Now, I'm a big grown man. I might look younger than my age, but I'm grown, yeah? This young man was 17 or 18, maybe at a push 20, somewhere in that region, yeah? And I had been transported back to a time that I saw as a people we had moved past, yeah? This young man engaged in eye contact with me, and because I engaged in eye contact with him, he didn't break eye contact with me. And then that became a problem to the stage where he wanted physical conflict. Yeah. And he was carrying, like, I am not afraid of situations like this. Again, it's not my first instance. So it's again, from a personal perspective and for the people and workplaces that I've been in and supported, I'm used to those kind of behaviors. As a behavior therapist and drama therapist, I am versed to challenging behavior. But it saddened me greatly to see this beautiful black king, melanated in skin and good in health, so angry towards somebody of his own type, kind, caste. Yeah. I don't understand and was shocked to see that we are still in a stage where we're aggressive and aggrieved by people of our tribe that we don't recognize from the local area. This idea of postcode or having hostility towards somebody who may be like us that we don't recognize needs to stop. Yeah. So it reminded me of this piece that I wrote near enough 10 years ago. And I wrote this piece for a young man that challenged me that I couldn't write a piece that was engaging for him. Yeah, to kind of address the behaviors that we were trying to avoid him getting into, to avoid him, like you say, going from school to prison, education to ultimately ended up in prison. Now, unfortunately, the young man ended up in prison. Yeah. And then he ended up in prison back and forth so many times I lost contact with him. Yeah. So to Max, if you're out there, I hope somebody, you know, them internet sleuths, yeah, they do that thing where they just find and they connect anybody and they find that Max. Yeah, find Max C. And send him this piece. Yeah. And this is a reminder, and there's some good parts in here. So let's go with it. Yeah. 10 years ago, I wrote this one. We all know that grime MC out there that talks about what if you come around here? And I thought I'd take a moment to look at this. There is always a guy that knows 25 men who are ready for any and every plan, regardless. But from what I see, there is always a lot of lip flapping and not all that much fist smacking. And I thought you, man, were heartless. But anyway, I'll take a walk around the ends and see mans on a street corner in the typical designer bands acting as if they're ballers. I'm this and watch that. And I ask, where is these kids' aspiration? Why have they not got any motivation to not purge off the government and this situation? It's because of this and they hate me because I'm... No. Being doesn't go against you, in fact. Excitement is the theory for unemployment. Yeah? Which leads to a considerable lack of enjoyment. And hey, that would be bad, isn't it? Because you thought you were fooling and tricking people to think that you were cruising and licking people. But you're not actually ballers, but in fact paupers that take things for granted and disregard the people working hard to ensure that there is a prison service to accommodate your stupidity and the ignorance from the situations that were predictable. And in my opinion, I think that's a liberty. Why are we not doing something about this? Like, seriously. Is everybody just blinded by this gangman trap conspiracy? But actually, we all know that 25 man that support your plans, they don't have your back regardless. You take the rap for that old trap and don't snitch on that whilst the judge looks at you and sees you hung, drawn, and quartered. And no one will be there to visit you when you're scared. And I don't quite understand why that's an answer. It's in fact those who put you behind bars who are heartless, as they take away your chance of being fathers and positive voices to those who need answers. And actually, when you come out of pen, I have you know, you won't have no friends, because those 25 men, they were all assholes. But still, the choices are made to jump on the watch man come parade. And what can anybody say to man to explain that trap life don't pay? How many mothers, aunties, uncles, brothers have to be goshed before someone says stop and puts a squash on this mentality that you man can't seem to resist but watch? How many nieces, nephews, cousins need to be shocked before you realize there's more to life than just guap? How many families touched with lives lost before someone stands up and says enough, man, stop? Has anyone taken a moment to think about the things in life that make you laugh? Towards the legal life of putting in some hard graft. Instead of leading a life of halves without laughs, looking older your shoulder as life gets colder and colder, and you know you are now destined to grow older but await the day to get done over? You haven't got to be good at math to understand this algorithm. It won't be long before somebody stops your rhythm. It's as simple as 1 + 1. Before you know it, your life will be done and people will look at you in your 3 white stripes and think, what have you become? And all you will be remembered for is hurting your mum. And if you make that choice, then take a look at who's moist. And you might get what you want, to be feared, revered, and heartless. Or you could stop and look on at those who tried their hardest to ensure that you were safe and warm, regardless.
That was chapter and verse and everything, boy. Whoop, 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 whoop. I like it. I like it. Listen. It's been a really good poetry session. Yeah, good discussion, good debate. Nats, you got to come on again. We're enlisting you, definitely enlisting you. I know you're a busy lady, but I'm gonna negotiating. I'm gonna be negotiating to get you back on.
Next time, I'm gonna make sure I eat some food.
Yeah, so I know you're anybody's bunning. Talking to you. Listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching, we don't have time to discuss things prime, but we can discuss it another time, yeah, or we'll do it again. But thank you so much. I want to say thank you to Nats for coming on short notice as well. It's like, yeah, can you come on? Yeah, okay, yeah. And you know, but you've done amazing, so well done. And Kadeem, as always, you know, partner in crime when it comes to the poetry section, never lets me down. Man's just here. Rise to the challenge as well. Boop, 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 boop. I thank you for the video as well. I think we should do something like that every time. We should bless the thing with a video like that.
Yeah, bless the thing with a video like that. Bring the challenge. Yeah.
Whether it's brackish enough or not, let's just let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I like that. All right, listen. Nat, you want to say bye? You want to say anything?
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks for both of you, Kadeem and Gav. It's really been nice talking and actually stimulating my mind. It's been a long time since I've performed poetry, really, in this kind of context. All had such good debates, so thank you so much. I've enjoyed.
Do you want to talk about anything that you're doing or anything like that? You want to plug anything?
All right, at the moment, I've actually had such a busy summer. It's been so hectic. Now I'm just trying to settle back into back to school after September.
Wait. Before you try to play it down, can you just do some of the highlights, please? Because you bust these highlights before we came on air, and I was like, "What? You didn't even tell me that." So come on, just drop a few highlights. Do
you know what time it is?
Just quickly. Come on.
Well, I do lots of stuff. So I do a bit of modelling. I do obviously the spoken word. I do interviews. And I've been DJing. DJing's my latest toy. I've been doing that for the last 4 years. And this summer, I played in Turkey. I played at Soul Sessions in Malta. I've just been having a really great time in terms of exploring my music and sharing my creativity. So I've got lots going on.
Where did you go to do your poetry?
Oh, yes, I performed it. Some of my accolades, like I performed in the House of Lords at the Baton Awards, which was really massive for me to get in there to perform. I also performed on TV Africa in Ghana when I went out there in 2020. So I was on Breakfast Live talking about lockdown, talking about them forcing the vaccine, and then lo and behold, it all happened. So yeah, I have to look back at my journey and give myself a round of applause for the successes in the different fields that I've been doing. I'm really proud of it.
We'll give you a round of applause, man. You're amazing. Come on now.
You made it. Lots of people didn't.
The journey's not over. I think I've got a lot more to do. I need to get back into writing, and that's that side of my creative. I want to really push my poetry over music. I've got a couple of tracks out, but really, I want to start working on my production in terms of making the beats and using my vocals. And I do want to get more back into, because lockdown days, I was really an activist. And I think with my poetry as well, I used to send a lot of messages and ask a lot of questions. And I think that side of me has kind of been in the back, a little bit dormant. So I do really appreciate coming on here and dipping back into my poetry, and even reading it and hearing some of it myself. It's like, right, I created some really powerful poems and really powerful messages, and that poetry was my original platform, which is what made me stand up and shine, really. So yeah, I need to get back behind
Don't
the
forget
pen.
it.
Yeah,
Don't forget
I
it. Stay
can't.
with the pen.
Yeah. I mean, Kadeem just done a performance. You want to talk about your thing, Kadeem?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get invited to the 25th anniversary for the Mo Valley Poets Association this year, this week,
Wow.
this year. That was cool. I got a chance to. I was actually, believe it or not, and like I said, the whole reason how this whole started, for anybody who hasn't been here from the beginning, I have been writing poetry for over a decade, maybe 2 decades, and had never done anything with it until I met G, and G found out I wrote poetry on the back of the pod and was like, what, you know, and I was like, yeah, I got like, it's a weird skill. It's a weird skill. Say I will produce maybe 700 poems a year of the kind of standard and quality of what we're talking about. Yeah, and I just don't do anything with it. So then, yeah, it's crazy. So then, I was like, let me try and get into the scene. So I did my first event on Monday, and that was really well received. And got invited to go to another couple of events and things like that. So big shout out to the Mo Valley community and the whole Surrey community that are up in the spoken word scene. And yeah, I think what I want to say to everybody today, and as a part of the thing of the Black History Month and bringing Black History Month in with the fact that we are a united nation, we are Great Britain, yeah. I hope that today's session and the messages that have been presented allow you to remind yourself, yeah, that for whatever caste or class you are, yeah, you made it. You are still alive to view the material, to discuss the subject, to fight the oppression, yeah. So do something with that, yeah, whether that be create some art, engage in some art, go to some music, eat some foreign food, do something that you otherwise wouldn't have otherwise had the access to, that some people before you didn't have the opportunity to live as long as you have. Because one thing I remember every year, one thing with Black History Month, the same with my birthday, I think to myself of this, our ancestors, and I didn't get to do that poem today, I'll do that again in the future, the ancestors that didn't make this age. Yeah. And the same way with the young people that didn't make this age, didn't make the ages that we made now. Think about how many of our ancestors didn't make the age that we are now. So we must be grateful, thankful, and in remembrance of the fact that we made it here.
And this podcast, the Soul Gym Life Coach thing, me, is all in reverence of the ancestors, always first. You get me? So that's why I always say I'm African first before anything else. So I can't have this color of skin. Just put it out there. You get me? So anyway, on that note, let's call it a night. I want to say, Nats, thank you for always just being the queen that you are and just coming through. And when we had the audio podcast, you did poetry in there too. So those of you that don't know, I've been doing the podcast since 2019. It's been a while now, and so yeah, man. I know you're hungry, man. All on, man. All on. You're gonna die.
I thought this was when I agreed. I actually thought it was gonna be like half an hour or something. When he said hour and a half, now we're 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah. You see, exactly. I told you, didn't I? Right. Anyway, we're gonna end it now. Anyway, right? Anyway. God, black people. That's what I feel. Black people. Yeah. Right. Police. Anybody else out there? Yeah. People get angry when they get enough the food. All right. It's crazy. I'm gonna lose my mind. That's so crazy. Anyway. Anyway, guys, thank you so much.
All right, thanks for having me.
And Gym Life Coach podcast, and we're out.
All right,
peace, man.
Love and blessings. Peace.
All good.